It is Friday, October 7th, 2022, and we just got the Albuquerque housing data for September of 2022. So we're going to go through it here right now. It's really this kind of hot and cold. The data points are all over the place. And so it's difficult to put a trend on it, but let's look at it so you can see what's going on and have a feel for where we are in this housing cycle. This is Tigo Venturi Realty Group of Keller Williams Realty. I've been doing these market data reports for a long time. And Albuquerque is an interesting real estate market in that we don't seem to have quite the peaks and valleys that you see in other real estate markets. Let's say Phoenix, for example, is one that always comes up in that conversation. But we definitely have had some peaks and valleys recently, and so let's talk about that. Right now, we're looking at all of Albuquerque MSA, so that's the 4-county area, and we're looking at all single-family detached homes only, just so we can get kind of an apples to apples comparison. Right now, closed sales, that's kind of the big talking point right now. Kind of the headline thing is that the closed sales are down. A number of homes closed in September for single family detached homes was down 26% from last year, 881, versus if we go back to September of last year, there we are, 1,187. So we definitely have seen a decline in the number of sales. If we look at it on a rolling 12-month, so this is continually updated on a rolling 12-month, we had that big run up from the beginning of the pandemic all the way through June of last year, and the number of sales, annual sales, has been pulling back since then. We're back now to whatever this is, somewhere 2018 levels, something like that. So in that sense, yes, the market's cold. But let's look at some of these other data points that really point in a different direction. And pricing is one of them. Although I will say we've seen this increase of almost 16% here since last year in the median sale price. And if we look at price per square foot, we've seen about a 12% increase since September of last year. So we're comparing month to month. However, if you look at the chart here, you'll see we had a peak here back in April, May, June, and then we pulled back a little bit. And then here for the last couple months, it's been flat. I've been watching the actual list price of homes and the number of homes that are getting price reductions in our market. And we have seen a fair amount of price reductions, not extraordinary or anything, and but it seems like those prices are kind of steady, at least, and we're not seeing a big pullback in prices, at least at this point. We are seeing, again, it's pulled back a little bit, but not this huge number. I know around the country there are markets that are definitely seeing some pullback, but not that much here in Albuquerque. I'm going to say yet, and we probably will see some pullback in prices all the way through till February. We generally do see home prices reset sometime in February, March, and then they start going up through the spring. It's going to be very curious this year because what happens with interest rates. And I really should have started with that, but we're going to look at that right now. Mortgage interest rates are really the story of the real estate market right now. Obviously, that's not just locally in Albuquerque, that's everywhere. And we went from, at the beginning of the year here, there we go, at the beginning of the year, somewhere around 3.25% on mortgages. And just this last week, we've peaked out at about 7% as a mortgage rate. Of course, that's median. There's some higher, some lower, depending on the program and so on. But that really takes a bite out of people's purchasing power, without a doubt. And so we're going to be watching the mortgage rates. We know the Federal Reserve, I don't want to get down that road, but we know the Federal Reserve is trying to slow down the economy, and the tool that they're using is to make the cost of money just higher. And that's what's happened. And it's too bad, because it's really made it hard for people that are trying to get into the housing market. So let's go back and look at some of the September data. So if we look at the number of new listings, this is the number of homes coming on the market, that's down. So that's an indicator that that we're not going to have this flood of a bunch of homes coming on the market and put the supply and demand trend way out of whack. So if we look at month supply, we're still at 1.5 month supply. That is a very, very low level, and this takes into account supply versus demand. And right now we're at 1.5. It's definitely moved up from these ridiculously historically low levels that we had at the beginning of this year. But you can see, even going back to 2019, we're still way below that. And 2019 was a pretty hot year, and we were looking at 4% interest rates in 2019. A couple other things, hot or not, if we want to call it that, right now, percent of list price is now at 99% of list to sell price. We went over 100 there a couple times the last 2 summers. That's very unusual. We know it was a very hot market. We saw homes being bid up over list price many times. That's coming back a little bit to reality, or I don't want to say reality. That's not the right way to put it. Normal. Historically, we've seen somewhere around 97, 98%. Right now, we're at 99%. So that would still be an indicator, if you just looked at that one data point, of a very strong sales market. And if we look at days on market, which is another one, I'm going to use average days on market. We're now at 19 days, which is still very low. Again, historically, if you go back to 2019, 2018, 2017, and so on. So yeah, days on market, homes are still turning over relatively fast, except it has changed quite a bit just in the last few months. If we look at median days on market, which means, how many days is it that half of the homes sell? So right now, median days on market for September was 9 days. So 50% of the homes sold in 9 days in September, but that's up substantially from March, April. We were looking at 3 and 4 days median days on market, and up 125% from last year. So it's still very low, but it's up substantially from what we've seen here just in the last year or so. Let's see, what else do we want to look at here? Let's see, homes for sale. Number of homes for sale. Yeah, let's talk about that. Up 22% from last year, which is, we've been tracking this kind of on a weekly basis, and we know that the number of homes on the market has been increasing since last year. But look at this little thing right here. Basically, we peaked out in July, and we've been flat since, and I'm seeing that in the weekly data as well. The number of homes on the market has stayed pretty even. The number of new homes has come down. The number of homes selling has come down, and so they're kind of staying equal at the moment. And one last thing I want to show you is this thing called shows per listing. So this is foot traffic is what I like to call it. And this is the number of times properties are being shown in our market. It has pulled back quite a bit, so this is a good indicator of where the demand is. No surprise with the higher interest rates that a lot of people are having to wait and see what happens with the market. But we still have pretty good foot traffic, again, if you look at it historically. Not the booming that we had early in the year this year, and then again early in the year next year. And that's really the question now, is what's going to happen going into fall, winter, and then this reset generally that we get in the early of the year for next year, and if we're going to see home prices start to appreciate again, if they're going to stay flat, if we're going to get a flood of homes on the market. There's all these questions out there that nobody really knows, right? But it's something that we watch and track and try to understand. In the end, everybody needs a place to live, and there's financial reasons to purchase, but there's a lot of other reasons to purchase other than just financial. So if you do have any questions about real estate or need help with your property, or if you're looking to buy, give us a shout, 505-448-8888. It's a Venturi Realty Group with Keller Williams Realty.